Darkness bled across the void, pierced only by the prismatic shimmer of the Vecra fleet as it glided in ordered silence. Thousands of ships, long-spined things like celestial leviathans, moved with predatory grace, their mad hulls rippling with electromagnetic shielding that bent light into oily spectrums. At the helm of the lead dreadnought, the Zarek Tel, Fleet Commander Ossock stood motionless, cloaked in a robe of pale fibers grown from living silkworms of the chorus moons. His 6 eyes blinked asynchronously, scanning the data arrays projected into the air before him. The stars had been silent for many rotations. Too silent. Ossock's instincts, refined over decades of conquest, diplomacy, and extinction-level decisions, tingled with unease. The galaxy had a rhythm, and the last few cycles had been discordant. The Vekri Empire prided itself on knowing every variable in its quadrant, and yet... "Adjutant Vela," Ossock murmured, his voice like dry parchment scraped against glass. "Have you ever seen a structure this angular?" Vela turned, her smaller frame shadowed under Ossock's towering figure. Her mandibles twitched nervously. The object floating on the edge of sensor range had no biological patterns, no thermal waste trails, just cold, deliberate angles, bristling with unknown purpose. "No, Commander. Its energy signature is masked, deliberately, too efficient for a primitive vessel." Ossock narrowed his primary eye. That was what troubled him. The thing had appeared, instantly, precisely, at the outer limits of Trinor System Z-84, a zone the Vekri fleet had claimed 3 cycles ago. It had broadcast nothing, moved not at all, a cosmic corpse, yet unsettlingly deliberate. "Bring us within observation range. Passive scans only. No hails." The command moved like electricity through the deck. Beneath them, the Zarek Tel shifted orientation, followed by the synchronized ballet of the fleet. No lights flickered, no engines flared. The Vekri moved as shadows moved, unseen, undisturbed. As the fleet crept forward, the object began to resolve in detail. Ossock could now discern material, black and alloy, denser than any known composite. It bore no markings, no insignias, no identifying radiation trail. It was a void sculpted into form. Then it turned. No propulsion, no visible motion, but the structure rotated slowly, inexorably, to face them. Alarms blinked to life in silence. Not sirens, but signals embedded in the ship's nervous system, alerts only High Command could perceive. "It sees us," Vela whispered. Ossock grunted, an ancient Vekri expression of doubt, or it wants us to believe it does. In truth, he wasn't sure. The object, now clearly a vessel, held its position. No emissions, no movement beyond that deliberate turn. But Ossock felt it, felt the weight of intention. "What is its armament profile?" he asked. Vela hesitated. "Unknown. It does not conform to any warship schematics in the Imperial Registry. No protrusions, no ports. But it is armed, Commander. The power reservoirs, if that's what they are vast, larger than any single Vekri node, possibly larger than our entire dreadnought." For the first time in many Solarians, Ossock felt something alien, doubt. He had led campaigns that erased civilizations, faced down ancient machine intelligences, navigated the diplomacy of the Chronali-plagued courts. Yet this thing evoked something primal, not fear but a recognition, like one predator glimpsing another in the wilderness. "Estimate origin," he said. Vela manipulated the stream of data with elongated fingers. "Local sector, possibly from system Soltau. No registered Vekri colonies. No known sentient species with interstellar capability." "Then someone has been hiding very well," Ossock muttered. Behind them, the bridge doors hissed open, revealing strategist Koven, coiled in ceremonial armor of dark green obsidian. Where Ossock commanded fleets, Koven manipulated outcomes. His presence was never accidental. "I heard we found a ghost," he said, his voice soft and venomous. "We found something far more intentional," Ossock replied, "and it does not behave like a ghost." Koven studied the vessel, his slitted pupils tightening. "It is not hiding. It is waiting." A silence fell between them. It was Vela who finally broke it. Should we hail them? Koven chuckled. And say what? Greetings, unknown ship. We're here to conquer your sector, and we're not expecting visitors. Ossic's expression hardened. Silence, that impulse. Until we know what this is, we treat it as sovereign. We observe. We do not provoke. And if it's observing us? Koven asked. Then we'll give it something worth watching. Down on Deck 9, in the observation atrium of the Science Division, Cyrilin, junior xenobiologist, stared at the magnified projection of the vessel, the human warship. Though she did not know its name, stirred something she had no language for. It wasn't simply the design, sharp and austere, like ancient weapons from Carusian folklore. It was a presence. She felt, irrationally, that the ship was aware of her watching it. Beautiful, she whispered. Her superior, Dr. Kelt, scoffed. It's monstrous. A war idol. You know how many civilizations build like that? The ones that never learn peace. Cyrilin didn't respond. She wasn't thinking about war. She was thinking about art, about intention, about how every design choice told a story. And this story did not feel like desperation. It felt like will. Back on the command deck, Vela's mandibles clicked rapidly. Commander, the object is transmitting. Ossic leaned forward. Language, none. It's an image. The projection filled the bridge, a complex helix of symbols, interwoven with fractal patterns and slowly shifting geometry. At first glance, it was incomprehensible, but Ossic recognized the structure, a cipher key, an invitation. They know how to talk, he said quietly. Koven's eyes gleamed. Or they know how to lie. Ossic ignored him. He tapped into projection, rotating the sequence, watching for redundancy, symmetry, anything to suggest logic. Then a new image. The ship, their ship, the Zarek-Tel, render in astonishing detail, down to its flank patterns and sensor nodes. They've been watching us longer than we realized, Vela said, the words edged in breathless wonder. Ossic turned away from the display. All vessels maintain position. Do not approach. No signals. I want full linguistic breakdowns of that cipher by end of rotation. And after that? Koven asked. Ossic considered the question. A challenge? A test? A warning? Or perhaps the first outstretched hand across the dark. We'll decide if we respond, he said, or run. The stars around the fleet twinkled, unknowing and unconcerned. But at every Vecri on that bridge, the void no longer felt empty. It felt like it was watching and waiting. Space was never silent aboard the SCSV Titan. Beneath the stillness of her vast obsidian hull, the heartbeat of the ship echoed, a low, resonant thrum of fusion reactors cycling plasma through magnetic veins. The noise was subtle, rhythmic, yet omnipresent, like a living thing breathing in the dark. Captain Elena Roy stood at the primary viewport, arms folded behind her back, eyes fixed on the field of stars. Her face, angular and solemn, was carved by years of decisions that bore the weight of survival. She had once been called idealistic, back when Earth's skies were still open to dreams. Now, stationed 3 light years from Sol, guarding humanity's last great hope, she was something else entirely. Still nothing from the alien fleet? She asked without turning. Commander Judose, her second-in-command, leaned against a console to her right. He didn't answer immediately. His eyes, tired but sharp, flicked over the data stream scrolling across the glass interface. They're holding formation. No broadcasts. No aggression. He exhaled slowly. Just watching. Elena nodded, her expression unreadable. Then they're more cautious than the last ones. Jude didn't smile. They both remembered the Varian incident. A contact gone wrong. An entire Martian outpost atomized before the fleet could intervene. No survivors. No reasons. The Titan was different now. Larger. Stronger. Equipped not just to deter, but to decide the fate of encounters like this. And it was Elena's burden to decide. Has the cipher been cracked? She asked. Still processing. The linguistic AI is making progress. It's layered, multispectral, maybe even synesthetic. designed to convey meaning beyond just words. That tells me one thing, Elena murmured. They're intelligent and they expected us. She turned finally, crossing the command dais, boots silent on the reinforced floor. The bridge was quiet, each officer focused on their task. Yet an air of restrained tension hung above them, thicker than a recycled atmosphere. "Put me through to Dr. Rahman," she ordered. Within seconds, the central holopad flickered to life, and the soft-featured face of Dr. Eshan Rahman, chief xenolinguist, appeared. Behind him, the walls of his lab were covered in scrolling glyphs and audio spectrograms. "You've seen the cipher," Elena said. It wasn't a question. Rahman's eyes glittered with a mixture of exhaustion and awe. "It's more than a cipher. It's a conceptual bridge. Whoever sent it wanted us to understand their thinking process, not just their language. It's a self-replicating framework. In English, Doctor? They want to talk, and they're better at it than we are." She absorbed that expression unchanged. "Is it safe?" "No message is safe, Captain. But this wasn't designed to deceive. It's a peace gesture." Jude raised an eyebrow. Elena waved a hand and cut the transmission. "There's no such thing as a peace gesture with a fleet that size." Silent again, until Jude asked, "So what do we do?" Elena tapped the control node on the armrest of her chair. The ship's core AI, Aura, responded in its cool, human-neutral voice. "Status of first contact protocols? Protocols fully updated. Tactical options prepared. Defensive measures active at 78% stealth capacity. What's the probability they already know where we came from?" Elena asked. "Current estimate, 94.2%. "That's what I thought," she muttered. Jude looked sideways at her. "So we're not mysterious. Just slow. We're human. That's never been mysterious." He didn't argue. The Titan, though silent, was a visible warning. 3 kilometers of engineered intimidation, capable of leveling entire moons. Every design choice, from the ribbed hull to the blackened sensor arrays, spoke of survival earned, not gifted. Humanity had clawed its way into deep space with tenacity, not elegance. There was pride in that, but pride wasn't what they needed now. Below decks, in the crew quarters, Lieutenant Sarah Miles stared at the live feed of the alien fleet. A web of long, spine vessels moving in impossible synchronicity, as though guided by a shared neural lattice. She'd served on 5 ships in her short career. None had prepared her for this. Seeing something truly other, not hostile, not friendly, just watching. She glanced at her bunkmate, Ravi, who sat cross-legged near the wall, sketching the alien ship forms on a tablet. "They don't look like they're waiting to talk," she said. Ravi didn't look up. "They look like dancers. Every ship moves like it knows the next step, or like wolves circling prey." Ravi paused, stylus hovering. "You think they're the hunters?" She didn't answer. Up on the bridge, Jude broke the silence. "We could cloak, jump out of the system. Let Earth deal with it later." Elena laughed once, low and bitter. "And if they follow us? They haven't moved. That doesn't mean they can't." She stepped closer to the viewport, her eyes fixed on the alien vessel that had rotated to face them 2 hours ago. A gesture of challenge or curiosity. "We hold our ground," she said. "We let them see we're not afraid." Jude nodded slowly. "And if they are?" She looked at him. "Then we'll be the ones who go first." Far above the Titan, the Valkyrie fleet remained motionless, brilliant in its alien precision. The human vessel hung below like a sentinel, black against the starfire. Neither moved, neither spoke. But in the quiet, across the lightless vacuum, the ancient dance of war and peace began to stir. And neither side had blinked. Beneath the seething hush of the alien fleet's motionless watch, silence was no longer still. It was weighted, coiled, ready to shatter. Inside the Zerachtel, Fleet Commander Ossic's mind was not idle. Though his posture remained statuesque atop the command platform, his thoughts moved with predatory speed. The cipher had been parsed partially by the fleet's neuroanalysts, an intricate matrix of intention, logic, and a disturbingly familiar principle: reciprocal cognition. The humans, if that was what these angular vessels represented, were not merely aware of their observers. They had studied them, anticipated their presence, and now they waited. Ossick did not believe in coincidence. He turned from the projection of the ship's black hull. Status of neural synchrony calibration? Vela's hands shimmered over the interface. Complete. We have a shadow of their language. Enough for metaphor, not truth. That will suffice. Ossick's voice deepened. Initiate first communication. Visual overlay. Let them see my eyes. Colven, standing as still as a blade of polished obsidian, narrowed his gaze. A risk, Commander. You offer them your face before your fangs. It is not a gesture of peace, Ossick replied. It is a test. If they flinch from my image, they are not ready to speak. In the Titan's command center, the warning blinked red. Something's coming through, Jude said, rising sharply. Encrypted. Same frequency as the cipher. Visual packet attached. Captain Royce leaned in, lips thinning. Patch it. No audio. Let's see the face of curiosity. The bridge lights dimmed and the image unfolded. A shifting hex grid that resolved into a face not quite symmetrical, etched with faint bioluminescent grooves and eyes that refracted light like mirrors coated in ice. Ossick's 6 eyes regarded them as though through a veil of history. Calm but unreadable. Sarah Miles, monitoring the transmission from the lower deck, involuntarily stiffened. That's not a drone. That's a mind. Aura's voice chimed through a bridge. Signal integrity stable. Translation interface is functional. Awaiting response. Jude looked at Elena. You want to show your face next? Not yet. Her eyes remained on the projection. He didn't speak. Just looked. He wanted to see how we'd react. Which means we don't give him a reaction. Yet. Below deck. In the decryption lab, Dr. Ramon watched the unfolding sequence with shaking hands. His AI assistant, HFY, pulsed light across the glyphs. He's transmitting in symbolic grammar, Ramon whispered, threaded with paradox loops. This is ancient technique, designed to test philosophical compatibilities before mutual speech. Arya chirped softly. Encounter template aligns with high-risk first contact protocols. Recommend escalation of cultural specialists. No, Ramon said, eyes wide. This isn't a confrontation. It's a mirror. On the Xeraktel, Ossick studied the absence of a reply. The humans, if indeed they were humans, had not retaliated nor reciprocated. He found this fascinating. A silence that was not cowardice, but calculation. Curious creatures, Colven said, refusing both greeting and threat. Ossick turned to his strategist. What do we know of System Sol Tau? Long rumored. Recently confirmed through spectral drift analysis. No records of a post-sublight civilization. This vessel proves otherwise. Vela stepped forward, fingers trembling slightly. Commander, if I may, what if we've arrived not at their height, but at their threshold? Ossick's eyelids shifted closed, then opened slowly. Then we are not meeting their legacy. We are meeting their choice. A choice between survival and extinction. The bridge lights dimmed again. This time it was the humans. Captain Elena Roy stood framed by the viewport behind her. She had chosen to speak. Through image only. Her gaze held the kind of strength forged in the crucible of difficult decisions. Her posture, upright, commanding, undeniably human. The alien fleet received her face, and for a moment aboard the Xeraktel, no one spoke. Ossick studied the lines on her features, the tired steadiness of her eyes. A warrior, Colven said, simply. No, Ossick corrected. A sentinel. She is not here to destroy. She is here to decide. He raised one hand. Prepare the envoy packet. Relay them our position and orientation schema. I will give them our voice now. At the heart of the Titan, the ship trembled, not from external threat, but from the transmission that surged into its heart. Audio this time. A voice like fractured stone, layered in resonance and timbre, filtered by the AI's evolving translation algorithms. We see the edge of your light. We stand in shadow, not with blades, but with caution. Speak if you have a voice. The message repeated, each time with more refinement, more fluidity. Elena took a step back. "That's not a threat," Jude said. "It's a doorway." Elena looked toward Aura. Translate response. She paused, weighing every word like stone, then stepped forward. "If you mean no harm, let the silence break between us." The message was encoded, then sent. The alien fleet did not move. Not yet. But on the Zerachtel, Ossip bowed his head. Just a fraction. It was not submission. It was respect. "Intriguing," Koven whispered. "They invite us forward. And they're unafraid." Ossip's voice was thoughtful. "Or they are ready to die." Silence again. But this time it crackled with potential. On both sides of the standoff, commanders stood on the precipice, not of war, but something older, something rarer. Recognition. And far from both flagships, deep within the periphery of the system, a single, unseen probe recorded it all. A third eye in the darkness. Unblinking. Listening. Waiting. The corridor lights flickered subtly as the Titan adjusted its orientation. Just a fractional pivot in the vacuum of space, but deliberate, unmistakable. It was a signal, translated not through language, but through posture. Captain Elena Royce knew the gesture was old, embedded in the psychology of all sentient species. "We are not running." She sat alone in her private chamber now, away from the thrum of the bridge. The contact had shifted. What had begun as observation had edged toward engagement. The alien voice, clearer with each passing hour, replayed in her mind, its cadence deliberate, its curiosity veiled with the kind of intelligence that knew when to listen. Aura's voice broke the stillness. Incoming communication. Frequency consistent with previous Vekari transmission. Signal integrity at 92%. Visual and auditory data attached. "Display," Elena said. The holographic projection shimmered into place. Ossip's image appeared, not in grand posture or ceremonial armor, but seated, calm, composed. The background of his ship's command chamber glowed with bioluminescent data trees, and curved walls pulsing with translucent energy. For the first time, Ossip spoke not with caution, but with purpose. "You do not fear us. This is rare." The translator rendered each syllable with neutral clarity. "You did not hide your face. This is rarer still." Elena's reply was already encoded into Aura's system. She stood as the holoprojector activated her return message. "We have seen fear. We've survived it. What we fear now is silence, when words have saved us." Ossip's expression remained unreadable, but the ship's lights behind him dimmed for a moment, suggesting thought. Then he spoke again. "We have crossed 1,000 dying stars to find minds that see beyond weapons. Few remain. Fewer still are willing to speak." That message ended, but the invitation lingered, unspoken, unresolved. In the decryption lab, Dr. Rahman had lost track of time. His fingers flew across the interface, analyzing the Vekari's neurolinguistic patterns and comparative misstructures. The deeper he went, the more certain he became. The Vekari weren't just observers. They were survivors. Scars lay beneath their poetic language. There was trauma baked into their metaphors, lost beneath every syllable. Sarah Miles arrived in the lab with 2 cups of protein-infused coffee. She placed one beside him, scanning the screens. "Are they stalling?" Rahman shook his head. "No, they're waiting to see if we understand what they're really offering." She raised an eyebrow. "Which is?" "Perspective," he whispered. "Not surrender. Not alliance. A different way of being. They've seen more ends and beginnings." Sarah studied the image on one monitor. An abstract symbol sent with a last message, like a spliced DNA strand coiled with stars. "So, they're not here to conquer." "No," Rahman said, "but they want to know if we are." Back on the Zerachtel, Koven stepped closer to Ossip as the human reply was received and translated in real time. "She speaks with discipline but not fear. This captain, Royce, she represents more than herself. She is the gatekeeper," Ossip said, "and we are at the threshold." He turned his 6 eyes to the interface. "We will test them. If they are what we believe, we proceed. If they falter, we vanish." Koven's posture stiffened. "No retaliation?" "No. just silence. A new signal was composed, this one unlike the others. It was a compressed construct, part story, part simulation, a memory shared through sensory imprint. The Vekari called it Ketha'al, the offering of past. It was not a weapon, but it could shatter lesser minds. They sent it. The Titan trembled slightly as the transmission entered its data core. Aura automatically rerouted the packet to isolated servers. Elena, Jude, and Ramon gathered in the observation chamber as the decoded feed materialized. They were not prepared. A planet, seen from orbit, scorched and blackened. Cities once vibrant, turned to glass. Not by war, but by entropy, by the slow devouring of a sun gone unstable. The Vekari's former home. And within the memory, silence, not a cry, not a plea, only resolve. An entire civilization choosing not to flee, but to record, to preserve, to witness its own ending. Elena's throat tightened. They wanted us to feel it. Jude clenched his jaw. It's not just a story. It's a test. Are we capable of empathy strong enough to mourn a world we never knew? Ramon swallowed, voice low. That's what they've been waiting to see. Whether we deserve to be part of what comes next. Silence fell again. Then Aura's voice quiet, awaiting response. On the bridge, the crew waited not just for orders, but for purpose. Every officer felt it. This was no longer just a military exchange. It was civilizational. Elena keyed in a private channel. Her voice, though steady, carried the weight of an entire species. Transmit a full visual reply. I want every member of this crew. Faces, voices, stories. I want them to see who we are, not our weapons. Our memory, our struggle, our hope. Or acknowledged. And so, a reply was built. Montages of Earth's diversity, its tragedies and triumphs. Not propaganda, not perfection. Just people. Laughing, grieving, fighting to live. Cities scarred by climate, rebuilt by hand. The Martian colonies forging atmosphere from ice. A child on Europa sketching stars with trembling fingers. It was raw. It was true. The Vekari received it. Osik watched without comment for the full duration of the transmission. When it ended, he stood slowly, turning to his officers. They have survived without forgetting who they are. That is rare. Ko-Ven stepped forward. Do we reveal our purpose? Osik turned toward the viewing pane, where the Titan floated in calm defiance. We will send the coordinates. The final message came through to the Titan as a radiant spiral of star charts and encoded spatial geometry. Ramon's team unraveled it, the data painting a clear map. A system 12 jumps from here, he said, breathless. Uninhabited, but in the center, a construct. Massive, older than both our species. Jude narrowed his eyes. A meeting place? No, Elena said. A challenge. They all turned to her. They're not just here to talk. They're here to show us what lies beyond survival. They want to see if we can grow with them. Her voice was calm, but her decision was already made. We go. And as the Titan prepared for departure, its engines pulsing in low sequence, both fleets remained in perfect balance. One waiting, one willing. Not yet allies. Not yet enemies. But no longer strangers.